Rev up your engines!
Well, Ford's having so many problems selling their Ford Mustang Mach-E's that the 2023s now have an 84-month financing cut of down to like 1.9%. But this also shows you how hard up they are to get rid of these things. 84 months, right? That is a 7-year financing. Now, I kind of wonder if 7 years from now, these things are even going to be running, right? The only way they can sell these things to people is by extending the payments so far that the payments are small enough that people will actually be able to afford them. It looks like they're getting a better deal. They say, oh, I'm only paying so much a month for my Mustang Mach-E, right? You're paying it for 7 years. Imagine if somebody has a 3-year note. Yeah, their note's going to be higher, but after 3 years, they own the vehicle, and the next 4 years, they got no notes, right? In this case, you got notes going on for 7 years. Now, 84 months, I guess, doesn't sound that bad. Oh, it's only months. Yeah, well, it's 7 years. This is how hard up Ford is to get rid of those electric things. Not only have they slashed the prices and made leasing easier and cheaper, now they even almost lowered it to nothing, 1.9% interest if you get an 84-month loan. Like I say, that's 7 years, people. Think about 7 years before you sign on a dotted line, right? Ford's quality control, not so great, right? And if you're signing out for 7 years, the last few years, you might not even have a running vehicle that you'll be paying for. I mean, the only thing I've ever seen worse than this is I've seen some Nissan dealers, and they're putting 7-year notes on 8, 9-year-old used Nissans, and you know they're not going to be on the road 7 years from now, right? All right, here's one I can't stop laughing my rear end off. Ford Maverick wins 2024 Mid-Size Segment Loyalty Award. All right, they give awards out for just about anything, right? How can you give a loyalty award for a 2024 that just has come out? It's ridiculous. They're scraping the bottom of the barrel now for awards. What did they like it the first 5 minutes they owned it? Now this award comes from a place called S&P Global Mobility. Now this company, S&P Global Mobility, that made this study, I mean, it's hilarious, you know? They track loyalty, right? Well, I hate to tell the real world what's actually going on, but here's what's actually going on. I've had customers that hated their car, and one of these companies would call them up on the phone and ask them about it, and they'd say, this is the biggest pile of crap I've ever had. Before they get done talking, the company that's doing the survey hangs up because, you know, they want to have slanted opinions. Let's face the facts, you know? They're getting paid for doing this stuff. The people who don't know anything about vehicles but do research about loyalty, they have all kinds of problems with these Mavericks made in Mexico. I've had customers with them. Major things have broken on them already, right? According to this company, it wins the award as the most loyal in its class of compact pickup trucks. Well, there aren't that many for sold in the United States anyway. Hardly anybody sells those things. They sell big ones. They don't sell very many little ones, right? There's very little competition to begin with. The point that you can put out a loyalty thing for vehicles that just came out is the most absurd thing on the planet. I guess they're just scraping the barrel so low to try to get something to say to get people to buy these things, right? Here's a quote for the company. These awards truly exemplify the industry's competitiveness and desire to improve customer retention. Okay, everybody knows Ford has more recalls than anybody else the last 3 years. They've got quality control problems, right? So instead, they'll win some bogus loyalty award for their Maverick trucks, right? You can't make this stuff up. It's unbelievable. Where's something that doesn't surprise me? GMC is among the worst domestic brands in Consumer Reports 2024 ratings. They came out second to last for domestic brands as the worst. And guess what the worst is? No surprise here. Jeep, right? Jeep has been going downhill since they were Willys Jeeps, right? And then AMC bought them, American Motors, and then Chrysler bought American Motors. Quality went down even further. Then Fiat bought Chrysler. Quality went down even further. And now Stellantis, the quality's even further down. The funny thing is the only time the quality didn't go down was when Mercedes-Benz bought Chrysler, and it was Daimler Chrysler. The quality of those Jeeps actually went up. Some of them had German, Austrian automatic transmissions, and they were better made. But that was a while ago, and since Fiat and Stellantis took over, Jeep's been going downhill too. Like I tell people, this doesn't surprise me because I tell people I would not buy one of these GM pickup trucks. I just would not. I see too many problems with them. I have customers that used to love them in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Then they bought a new one. They said, oh my God, this thing's always falling apart. What's wrong? And I explained, they don't make them like They used to. And in this case, even the Consumer Reports are saying they're the second worst American domestic vehicle. Only Jeep is worse. By the same token, don't buy a Jeep either if you value your money. Patrick once says, I have no heat. I got a 98 Chevy. I don't get any heat. I put a new heater control. Thermostat's good. The heater core isn't blocked and the cores are hot. The blowers are good. Why am I not getting airflow? There can be a lot of reasons you're not getting airflow. Turn on your fan blower, full blast. Just put it on outside air, not heat. It's blowing, you know the blower's working, right? Okay, so the blower's working. If you put the heat on and it will no longer blow heat out, then you have a problem with one of those dampers or the damper motor that opens and closes it. Because when you turn it to heat, you said you put a heater control. Realize those heater control units go bad all the time. I had a customer with a Chevy that he went through 3 of them in 8 years. They're junk, right? But you put a new one on. But the heater control only sends a message to the motor, the damper that opens and closes. It's probably not opening up, right? So you're probably going to need a damper motor, and you're going to have to tear that whole dash apart, and you're going to wonder, why did I buy this GM product? That's probably what it is. Now, if you want to do it without guessing, pay a mechanic like me. I got a fancy scan tool. That fancy scan tool, I can do bidirectional controls, so I would say open heat damper and it would send the message. And then on the other part of information on my scan tool, it'll show if the damper is open or closed. And if it stays closed, even though I tell it to open, you know the motor's broken, right? It's probably the motor or the arm itself. They're plastic crap. They'll warp and then they won't open anymore. I mean, in a pinch, if you can even access it, disconnect the motor and just physically open it so you have heat. I've done it before. Put a little mechanics wire, spin it to hold it in place, and then in the summer, undo the wire and push it back down so it doesn't blow heat anymore. That's the cheap fix rather than taking the whole dash apart. Well, I pity you poor people living in New York City because they are going to have a $15 congestion pricing in New York City. Even the firefighters protested against it. What they're doing is, during peak times, in certain parts of New York City when you're driving through, you got to pay a $15 toll for a congestion fee. They do it. And I believe when you go to London, you got to pay a certain amount of money to drive in and out of the city, right? And I laugh because all these people in New York and London, I've been to both places, right? And the people say, oh, you don't need a car here in New York City. Or the English say, oh, no, you didn't need a car in London. No, no, no. Hey, when I went to New York and London, you know what I saw? Cars all over the place. There were cars everywhere. There wasn't any room for parking. There were so many cars, right? And now they're going to tax them. And of course, the poor working class people, they're going to be taxed the most. The head of their transit MTA, the CEO, he says this is frequently represented like I went on a drinking binge and came up with this idea. It's time for all of you in the press to make it clear. This is state law, and we're just going to implement it in an effective way. We're going to do it. Now, what they plan on doing is, at a certain time in Midtown New York, you got to pay $15 to use the road. If you drive south of 60th Street, they're going to have this $15 toll. What? I guess we're getting back to the medieval days, right? That's where toll roads came from. People would put up a toll booth in a bar, and they wouldn't let you through unless you paid. I guess New York City is devolving into the Middle Ages, right? And of course, what do the transit officials say? Oh, this can get us $1 billion a year to spend la 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 la. Yeah, knowing how corrupt New York is and how are they going to implement it? Just like all those little traffic lights that take your picture if you go through them, or when you drive on toll roads where they don't pay the guys toll for collecting tolls anymore. They're all done by computers. The companies that run the computers and send the bills, they get the vast majority of the profit. You know, the government doesn't. They follow the money. You know, don't think that the money goes to the government. Just doesn't want to pay people's salaries anymore. So we'll have these things put up, right? And they pay other companies to do it. Did you ever notice if you ever got one of those things? I got one in Texas. And you know where the bill came from? It came from Phoenix, Arizona. Now, does that make any sense? You get a red light camera in Texas, and then the bill came from Arizona. At least in Texas, they came to their sense, and they said those are illegal, and they got rid of them, all right? New York is going to start tolling people if you're driving around there. And, of course, think about it. What about the poor people driving Ubers, right? What are they going to do? Well, it's going to cost you $15 more for this Uber ride because it's mid-congestion now, you know. We got surge pricing at Uber. Well, now New York City is going to have surge pricing if you're lower than 60th Street during congested times. Well, for once, I feel sorry for Elon Musk because when they went to court, they said he can't accept all those bonuses. It wasn't fair, that it was a raw deal. They said his $56 billion pay package wasn't legal, right? Well, guess what the legal eagles want now? The lawyers who won that case, they want $6 billion to pay for their legal fees. Now, these lawyers that won that case, the fee that they want, $6 billion, okay, that amounts to $288,888 per hour that they worked on the case, all right? Now, these guys are expensive lawyers, you know? We earned it, you know? Hey, what the heck? What's $288,000 an hour, you know? I mean, hey. What, like the president of the United States makes, I think, $200,000 a year or something, right? And these guys want $288,000 an hour. It'll be interesting to see what they're going to get out of the thing, you know what I mean? And the whole thing that makes it totally ironic is they said, oh, well, old Elon Musk, he didn't deserve all those billions. You know, that's not right. But they deserve billions for saying he didn't deserve billions. What is this, you know? Has our world gone totally insane? I think it has. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.